My name is Rick Storley. If I haven't met any of you yet, pleasure to meet you. We've got basically we invited all of our clients to this today because this is part of good business practice as for a company and a salesperson to do an annual sales and marketing plan. And my background, I came from a sales background, on-site salesperson. So this is a kind of near and dear to my heart today, is putting together your own personal business plan as a salesperson. So it doesn't matter if you are an owner that is also selling or if you're a rep for your company, you should have your own personal business plan. Now, here's my thoughts on why. Number one, it's good business practice, pure and simple. All of you are really running your own business, even though you are representing one of your builders or remodeling clients, builders or remodelers. But secondly, first and foremost, you're responsible to yourself. And having a personal business plan allows you to be accountable to yourself first and foremost. Really, it's your builder second. If you are making the kind of money that you want to make in 2013, 2014, your builder is happy because they're obviously making the sales that they want to make and generating the income, so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk you through this business plan, and we're going to have a roundtable discussion coming up 1 month from today, and I will be available to answer questions on that roundtable discussion for your business plan. But we're also going to open it up to any topic that you want for final discussion point of 2013. So the 7 areas that we're going to cover today are going to be, number one, I want you to recap 2013. And I realize that the year hasn't ended yet, but obviously you can project ahead how many sales you're going to have and basically the income that you're going to generate from those sales and closings. Number two, we're going to look at getting into 2014 goals, and then we're going to go and look at budgeting your sales by the month. Well, this is very, very important. I recommend that you're reviewing your plan at least once a month, and the best time to do it is the first week of the month, recapping the prior month. So we'll get into that. Goals and tasks. Typically, you're only going to have 3 to 5 goals. That's it. 3 to 5 goals. You don't want to do anything more than that. Keep it simple, but you're going to have tasks associated with those goals. And that's the most important thing. So we'll get into, how you do goal setting, looking at 3 to 5 goals as an examples, and then tasks that would go with those goals. Then we're going to get into the daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly, what I call the 4 Ps. So the 4 Ps are preparation, prospecting, presenting, and partners. And this is your activities that are going to lead you to hitting your sales goals. Number 6, we're going to look at time blocking. For those of you that have been around for a while, you've probably heard me talk about this. I'm a huge believer, proponent, in taking your calendar each and every week and blocking out time to execute your sales activities. And then number 7, major challenges and solutions. That is simply, forecasting. If you had a crystal ball looking at it, and what might be 1, 2, possibly 3 things that could come up as a major challenge in 2014, and if they did come up, how would you handle them? So what we want to really avoid is being surprised at any point in time. So those are the 7 areas. If you have questions, you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask me questions, or just type them into the chat box, and I'll make sure we answer them as we go. So before we get started, is there anything that anyone wants to make sure that I cover before we go through these 7 items? And I hear nothing. All right. So we're going to go ahead and jump into it. What I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to show you in Game Day Coaching where you're going to find this information. All of you should have a username and password to go in and log into it, and you can download your own template. And I'm also going to give you a resource of a completed business plan to use as assistance if you get stuck. So to give you an update of what we did 2 weeks ago, last week with owners and managers, we went into and we started working on our corporate business plan, which is right here. So what we're looking at is overall market conditions, pricing recommendations, market positioning, differentiation, all the way through, lead generation, looking at previous sales, and an action plan going forward. So that's what we started on. What you will find today when we get into the personal business plan is you are going to go into the section in Game Day Coaching called Key Activities for Sales Success Strategies. Okay, and if you're looking at in the side any of the menus here, we have what do you want to master today? Just go right down to Key Activities for Sales Success. All right, and then the very first link on this page is Goal Setting an Annual Personal Business Plan for Salespeople. So click on that link, and you will come to this page. Now this page, I have a video here. It's approximately 5 minutes long. I'm going to give you a, the Cliff Notes version of what we're going to do today. And underneath that, I've got links. So I've got one section for new homes. I've got one section for remodeling. So there are specific plans for each of you. Download the full business plans here and here for new homes or remodeling. And then I have a sample of a completed business plan that I'll use today as a reference point. Also, sales projections. If you want to download just the sales projections section individually of the full business plan, you can do that here for home builders or remodeling. And I've also got a sample daily schedule when we get into time blocking. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what the full plan looks like. This is a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. As you can see, there are 8 tabs down here. One is instructions, and then we've got the other 7 tabs of the sections that I just reviewed with you. So the instructions here will give you a brief idea of what you're doing for each tab. The first thing you'll do is you'll go ahead and enter your name here, and this will autofill the rest of the tabs. The date is automatically on there as well. Every time you open this up, you'll see the current date. So as you can see here, what we'll start with first is recapping the prior year, looking at your upcoming year number goals, and then objectives, goals, and tasks, numbers, breakdown, so on and so forth. The last tab is major challenges and solutions on the end, and once that's completed, your plan is basically done. It's already formatted so you can print it out, which I would highly recommend that you do. And then also, as the thing you want to write down right now is this should be reviewed the first week of each month. So as an example, you want the plan to be completed by the end of the year. Then in February, the first week in February, you should be recapping January, so on and so forth. So the simple metric we use is, did you accomplish your sales goals? If you did, great. We'll keep moving forward. If you did not, then you need to work with, look at your overall business plan and say, okay, why didn't I do that? Am I not getting enough leads? Is there a part of my sales process I need to focus on, and then I can go back and I can adjust my goals and tasks. So it's something that is definitely not static, it's dynamic. And at a minimum, you should be updating it once per month. All right, so let's go at recapping the prior year. This is what it looks like. We're simply going to look at income and expenses, and what is your net income before taxes for this particular year. So this section here, it's all formulated. And so what we'll do is you'll pop in, prior year, again, was 2013. What was your gross income earned? What were any expenses that you had, marketing, education, etc., for your business, and what was your net income? How many closed transactions did you have? What was the average number of hours you worked per week? And then finally put in your average sales price in there. Now, next thing we'll look at is what was the total purchase agreements written. And for those of you that, what we're looking at here is your cancellation rate. So a cancellation rate from a management standpoint, you should be somewhere between 10 to probably 25%. So for every 10 purchase agreements you write, you should have 1 to 2.5 cancellations. Obviously, the higher volume you do, it also depends on the type of financing that you use. If you're not using a construction to perm load, your cancellation rate is going to be higher. But the idea is this, is if you don't have a cancellation rate at least 10%, or if your cancellation rate is above 25%, you're doing something wrong. And let me just tell you why a certain cancellation is good, rate is good. If your cancellation rate is below 10%, you are only really selling to the cream of the crop. You're not getting the tougher deals put in there because certain deals are going to fall through. So if it's less than 10%, that means you're not you're not closing, or your sales process needs some refining because you're not getting those tougher prospects to buy. Now, if it's above 25%, it means you are not dotting the I's and crossing the T's. So it means there's whatever you're doing, whether you're setting expectations improperly, whether maybe it's you're forgetting some of the details of the transaction, or you're just not on top of the fulfillment stage of your contract. So somewhere between 10 and 25% should be your cancellation rate. So write in the total purchase agreements you wrote. Then we can get into pre-sales. Obviously, I'm in the home builder version here, but look at your pre-sales and inventory sales. Now this is another metric. You're going to want to write this down. You should have probably somewhere between a co-op rate of total co-op rate of somewhere between 30 to 50%. I don't think any of you are selling condos in an urban area. That would be the exception to the rule, that where your co-op rate is going to be higher than 50%. But you should have a co-op rate, meaning a co-broke rate, a buyer coming in represented by a realtor, so anywhere between 30 to 50% of the time. If it's less than 30%, your realtor outreach program is not strong enough. If it is more than 50%, you're not doing a good enough job of generating your own leads and closing your own prospects. So in other words, the realtors are doing too much work for you. Now, there's always exceptions to the rule, and the exceptions to the rule would be inventory. If your business model is based on, selling 80% of your homes via spec, obviously your co-op rate is going to be higher. But I don't know if any of you are, focusing on where you're doing more than 50% of your business via spec. I mean, it's a very difficult way to grow your business from a management standpoint because it ties up so much of your resources, lines of credit, and so on and so forth. So pre-sales in inventory sales, and we want to look at total cancellations. So I took my gross purchase agreements. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to subtract out how many pre-sales there were for those, how many inventory sales, and then how many cancellations I had. Now that gets me down to my net sales. And then here's the metric that we're looking at. We'll determine your cancellation rate. And then going forward into 2014, which we're going to do next, what we want to do is we want to make sure that you are taking into consideration what you have in inventory. This would be spec homes, model homes, anything that you can sell going forward. So how many homes are either under construction or completed that I can figure into my sales projections for 2014? Okay, any questions on recapping this? I'm going to show you an example of what the recap should look like. This is one example here of what Salesperson did. Any questions here? Okay, let's move on. So we're going to go into current year number goals. And what I'm going to do here again is I'm going to pop in 2014. What we want to do right now is we want to take a realistic projection of what you want to earn in 2014. And by realistic, I mean, hey, it's great if you think you're going to double your income this year. Wonderful. But we're going to get down to the plan is how you're going to do that. Okay. Please mute yourself, by the way, if you guys, if you're not talking, so we can avoid the background noise. Then I want to get into my projected expenses. And yes, you should be reinvesting money into improving yourself as a salesperson each and every year. So whether that be a marketing expense, might be a sales training expense, but do that. And then we want to project our net income before taxes. Then we'll go through the same process before. Projecting closed transactions. So again, you probably have some carryover this year. If you have some sales that are not going to close in 2013, you want to incorporate that as part of this. And some of you have had the long lead times, as you know. If you don't have a home sold by first quarter of 2014, it's probably not going to close next year. For those of you that are doing the higher end design build stuff. So you have to project again what you're going to close, which obviously that ties right into your income. How many hours are you going to work each week this coming year? And what's your projected average sales price? Is it going up, down? Is it going to stay the same? So we'll go through all that information, and then we will come back where we will project, again, what's our income going to be. And so you should have something that looks like this. So pretty simple. Pretty much just doing the exact same things as projections versus actual. Now, we will move forward to our sales budget and absorption. Okay, so this particular tab on this sheet, I'm assuming that you are either going to sell into one particular neighborhood or community, or if you are have the ability to sell into multiple communities and off-site. I've even got a section on here for other. Maybe you're able to sell some remodeling, renovation. You know, you'll have to basically update this. So if you look at how you set this up, you're going to go ahead and rename neighborhood 1, 2, 3 to your specific neighborhoods. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put in, you know, what's my primary neighborhood? Do I have a secondary or third neighborhood? If I can sell off-site, scattered lot stuff, I'm going to go ahead and project that in here. Then what I'll do is I'll put in how many units. This is total annual units. These are purchase agreements written, so make a note of that. This is not closed sales, but these are purchase agreements written. How many actual contracts will I write in 2014? And then I'm going to project out what my average sales price is right here. So will it vary by neighborhood? Is off-site higher or lower? Off-site typically is lower, you know, a lot of times because oftentimes the lot is not included as part of the purchase price. So keep that in mind. I'll have my total volume. This will automatically calculate here. You don't have to fill this in. Now, if you want to figure out what you're going to make for each neighborhood, just pop your commission rate in here, and that will give you a gross commission income by neighborhood or by product type if you're selling different products. Now here, if this helps you, great, use it. If not, don't worry about it. You can project your average lot price. And the only reason that you'd want to do that is that affects your commission rate. So in other words, if you get paid a different commission on your average lot price, you can factor that in. Otherwise, just skip it. Now what happens is when you fill these in up here, these will automatically populate down here. So if I go ahead and change this to, let's just say, we'll call this the Cambridge neighborhood. You can see that changes here, and it's going to change down here too. So you don't have to fill in any of this, just change them up here. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to take my annual projections and I'm going to project them down by month. So this is why it's good to go back and look at if you know, in 2013, 2012, 2011, what were your sales by month? What were your sales by month? And you want to project those out. So if, you know, a lot of times it's the spring market is really hot for a lot of us. You know, we do a lot of our selling between March, April, and May. You're going to have higher sales here. You know, maybe in the summer times it's going to be lower. You know, you're going to try to get some idea. Keep in mind, too, I'm also looking at what inventory I have available and when it's going to be available to purchase or close. So if you have a spec starts construction in November, it's going to be completed in March. You know, you're probably going to look at projecting the sale for that spec in March and or April or something like that, maybe February, depending on if you're pre-selling them or not. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that out by month. And this will automatically calculate here and automatically calculate here. So we can project by neighborhood or by off-site how many sales for each month, and then we'll get a total monthly unit sales over here. Now, I mentioned that you're going to recap this plan each month, and this is where you do it. So I'm on sales budget and absorption, and I have the actual monthly sales breakdown. And the first week in February, I'm going to go back and I'm going to recap January. So now I go in and I fill in my actuals, and I can compare. You know, what did I project in January here, and does it match what I actually sold? And so this is where you're accountable to yourself. Okay, so did I project 2 sales? Did I sell 2? Did I sell 3? Did I sell 4? Did I sell none? 1? What was it? And why was it? And be realistic. Did you have opportunities or did you not have opportunities? So if I had opportunities, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to scrutinize my sales process. If I did not have opportunities, I got to scrutinize my lead generation. Figure out how do I get more opportunities here. And this is where you work together with your owner, with your manager, to make sure that you're hitting your sales goals. And managers, if you're on the call listening here, this is again where you have to, break down, the total sales process. If you look at from the lead coming into the funnel and coming out as a buyer at the bottom, where's the weak point here? And you got to coach that up. So by the end of the year, let's see if I have my sales budget and absorption here. Oh, you know what? I don't have it on here. I'm sorry, but it's pretty simple. By the end of the year, I'll have a recap number here, and I can then match and say, okay, what were my total goals, and did I hit them? And then I move into the next year, so on and so forth. So you just always have a rolling, fluid business plan here. Okay, is there any questions or any clarifications for this particular page for these sales budget and absorption? You guys are so smart. All right, I'm going to make this a little bit larger. Okay, so now we're going to go down to objectives, goals, and tasks. And I would say of any of the stuff that we're doing here, this is probably, people have struggled with this a little bit. So take some time, to look at this. If you have questions, let's go through that. As I mentioned at the beginning, you're typically going to have 3 to 5 overall goals. You don't have to have a ton of goals, but you're going to have multiple tasks in order for you to accomplish those goals. What I have done is I've gone in here and I have started with your first goal should be your overall sales goal. Now, if you're not familiar with goal setting, there's a certain way that you need to write out your goals. So you always, if you look up here on these notes, is you're always going to write your goals in the first person and present tense. So example, I earn 100 grand a year. So first person present tense, you are responsible for it and you've already completed it. So your individual goal, your first goal here for 2014 should be I earn blank dollars in 2014. Now the next column here is who is this assigned to? So who besides you is responsible for making this happen? So if you work in a team, obviously you have a partner. If you have an assistant that's going to help you, you have the assistant. But maybe it's just you. So you're just going to write in there who is responsible for help making that happen. Then we're going to have in this column we'll have the unit of measurement. So it's real simple for sales goals is it's, hey, how many contracts did I write, January through December? So I can go through here and I can copy over my sales budget and absorption, how many contracts am I expecting to write in each month, and I can put it right here on this sheet. Simple unit of measurement. And then the status. So here I can update my goals and tasks on a monthly basis. So I could make a note each and every month, okay, in January, what's the status? How many sales do I have? That February, March, April, May. Again, it's the first week of the month where I'm recapping the previous month. So first week in February, I should be recapping January, and I'm doing a status update. And then finally, when's the deadline to complete? In this case, it's simple. It's 12/31/2014. So I'll put that in here. But for some of your tasks, you may have certain tasks that you want to accomplish throughout the year. So the way this is set up is I've got an individual goal here once. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to write this out in the first person in present tense. I earn $100,000 a year in 2014. It's assigned to me. My unit of measurement is sales by month. The status, I don't do anything with that yet because I'll recap that each month. And I'm going to put a deadline to complete. In this case, is 12/31. Now, underneath that, I have tasks right here. So tasks, I might have several tasks in order to accomplish this goal. Several tasks, right? And you could argue that, hey, you know what? This is my only goal I have, and everything else I'm going to put on here is a task. Hey, that's fine. But a task would be, okay, as an example, what do you need to do in order to make those goals? So do you need to talk to, 10 realtors a month to do that? Do you need to talk to, your past customers? Do you need to make sure you participate in certain marketing events? Do you need to make sure you work amount of hours per month? You need to make sure you convert X amount of prospects into buyers. So these are the tasks that you need to do in order to accomplish your goals. So let's take a look at an example here of what one client did. So this first goal of this particular example here was, I'm dedicated to offering and delivering remarkably different and effective real estate services than in years past. Okay, it's an okay goal. Measurement way too vague. Success of my clients. So I'm critiquing this example here. But here's the tasks. So he had to implement a new contact management system. Blah blah blah. Return all calls and email in a timely fashion. That's fine. These are the tasks this person decided that what he needed to do to accomplish these goals. And so the unit of measurement will go on here. So in this case, implement a new contact management system. The unit of measurement here is that it's up and running. Okay? So when's the deadline to complete that? So if you want to have this done by February 1st, I would put February 1st in here. And unit measurement is it's up and running. I'm using it on a daily basis. Okay, return all calls and emails in a timely fashion. Unit of measurement here is time, right? So how much time does it take you to return a phone call? How much time does it take you to return an email? And this is daily. Another goal. So in this case, it was life balance, taking control of my schedule. And he had an income goal here. So here's a task associated with each one. So I don't want you to, really get hung up on this. First and foremost is just think about what you need to do in order to accomplish your sales goal, and then work backwards from there. But maybe there's another part of your life. Maybe you feel like, you know what, I've got too much of my life focused right now on work and not enough of my life focused on family or things outside of work. So one of your goals is going to get into, better life balance. Okay, how are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? And in real estate, we know that people think that we're on 24/7 and they can call us Sunday morning or Tuesday night. And so sometimes we have to set parameters for our own prospects and clients that, hey, this is when we are available. So I would say, if I can just step back for a moment here, I would say the number one issue for my clients, speaking specifically with owners of 2013, was work-life balance. That was the number one issue. And please unmute yourself, by the way, if you are not talking. And what I mean by that is that all of us grew our companies here in 2013, and we're still pretty much operating with a lot of the same staff. So what happened was that we started working more and more hours, and then I got to the point where, be careful what you wish for. Can you guys all check yourself, make sure you're muted? Mike, I think you just jumped on. Make sure that you're muted here because I'm getting some feedback. Thank you. So work-life balance was a huge issue, and that might be an issue for you guys too. You're working way more than you want to work. Okay, so I can work harder, I can work smarter. So putting together a plan like here is all about working smarter. All right, any questions here on setting individual goals and tasks? And feel free to type them in the chat box too if you have questions. All right, let's keep going. Next section is numbers breakdown. So if you remember, we talked about the 4 P's. So we have preparation and personal development. We have prospecting. We have our partners, which would include realtors, past customers, maybe architects, interior designers if you're in remodeling. And then I would have presenting. So on my face-to-face stuff when I'm presenting. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to look at, okay, on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, and quarterly basis, what activities do I need to complete each day? So as an example, am I going to do market research work each day? Am I going to work on my sales environment, maybe my tablet presentation? Am I going to do a certain amount of reading or education each day, or training or working on scripts? Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But I need to get that information in here. For prospecting, how many follow-up emails do I want to send each day? How many note cards do I want to mail to prospects or buyers or realtors, business partners? Follow-up phone calls. How many phone calls am I going to make each day? Any events at the model? Am I going to work on them daily? Social media updates. When it comes to realtors, same thing here. Past customers, and then finally presenting appointments. So I'm thinking about, okay, in order for me to make $100 grand a year, I need to sell 20 homes and I'm going to do that over a 12-month period. So I'm going to sell about a little less than 2 homes a month. And in order to sell 2 homes per month, I need to meet with so many people and talk to so many past customers and realtors. See where I'm going here. Now I'm working backwards from everything. Now weekly. Maybe there's certain activities that you don't need to do daily, but you need to do them weekly. Or maybe you need to do them once a month versus daily. So what I'm going to do here is go ahead and fill this information out, and I've got notes on each one of these. Fill this information out because I'm going to take this information now, and now I'm going to transfer it into my daily schedule because my schedule is nuts. And this is where I see a huge problem with salespeople is they let either their owners or managers of the company or their leads and prospects dictate their schedule. And it's really the other way around. If you're going to be really truly successful as a salesperson, you have to keep that balance in your life, and the only way to keep that balance is to take charge of your schedule and specifically take charge of the activities within your schedule. So what is that going to look like? Well, let's go look at the example here. So this is what this particular person put together as far as preparation, prospecting, and presenting. So he had it basically broken down to hours. So 3 hours each week of appointments, 12 hours a month, 36 hours quarterly face-to-face time. This is one way to do it. Keep in mind, everything here has to transfer over to your schedule. So if you say you want to spend, a half hour or 40 minutes emailing each day, I've got to make sure that I put that on my schedule, that I block out time to do that on my schedule, and so on and so on and so forth. So this is where you're pretty much just laying out everything you've got to do, and now what I have to do is get it on my schedule, and then I'm going to block it out. I'm going to do recurring appointments each week and block this out. Okay, any questions here on these daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly tasks? All right, I hear none. Now I'm going to look at my daily schedule. So what I've done is I put together a simple schedule from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. And I'm going to focus on time blocking, put everything from my numbers breakdown on this sheet. And I also recommend you put personal things on here as well. And this is a personal business plan, which includes balancing work and personal life. So if you know that Wednesday is going to be your day off, as an example, block this out on Wednesday. And if you have kids' activities you got to do at nighttime, put them on here. Very, very important you do that and transfer these over to your main schedule that you use, whether your Google Calendar, Outlook Calendar, whatever it is. But you transfer those over there. What this is doing is just helping you plan what does a particular week look like. Granted, I realize it's never going to be exactly this way, but this is what you're going to start. When you're on Sunday looking ahead to your week, this is what you're going to start with. And then this is what happens when you get it filled in and what it should look like is your time blocking here. Okay, so family time here. This is we've got drive time in here. Okay, this is when we're returning calls and email. Office work, that sort of thing. So what we're doing is we're transferring those daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly activities, and we're putting them here on our schedule, blocking them out. And of course, evening appointments and weekend appointments. The best thing to do for those is to block out certain days of the week or times on the weekend when you're willing to meet with people. And if this is family time on Sunday morning and somebody wants to meet, guess what? You don't meet with them. Any questions on putting together your daily time blocking, your schedule here? All right, we're going to move on to the last part of your plan, which is major challenges and solutions. Major challenges and solutions. And here's how I learned about this. In order to complete this business plan template, I took probably about four different examples of a salesperson personal business plan and combined them all, and then added a few things that were specific to new home sales. But this was presented to me by one of my mentors, saying that there's so many things outside of your control. There's so many things outside of your control, and things always come up during the year that are going to affect your business plan. You know, no plan ever goes according to plan, right? So we have to plan for a what-if situation, and that's what this is all about. What if interest rates went up 2 points? What if you had a new competitor that came to town? What if you are trying to buy some property right now and it doesn't go through? You know, what if you can't get homes built on a timely basis? You know, what if? There could be all sorts of different things in your local market, things that you're dealing with or potentially could deal with. And so we're going to just list out a couple of those on here. And then what I want you to do is I want you to think about, what would you do? If it came up, how would you handle it? You don't have to put a ton of thought in here, just a sentence or two, but you know, if this happens, how am I going to handle it? So example here looks like this. What if interest rates go up? What if gas increases, you know, goes way high, and people are not willing to drive to your location? What if the market, you know, stagnates? You know, how are you going to continue to make your sales? And there's a, you know, something that was very profound that was told to me, you know, when the Great Recession hit in 2007, 2008, and 2009, is that the market never goes to zero. Meaning that all of you have a specific market share. And it's one of the things we're working on with your corporate business plan. We're looking at what is the specific market share you have in each micro market. The market never goes to zero. It never shuts off. There's always people that are going to be building a home or remodeling their home. It's just a matter of how much of that market share you can get. So if something happens, what are you going to do to make sure you get as much of that market share as possible? And of course, the whole reason of putting together a plan is not relying on the market to make sales for you. The whole reason of putting together a plan is that how much market share can you get? And the number that we looked at when we were talking about with owners and managers last week was about the maximum amount of market share you can get in any particular micro market is 25%. So that means if there's 10 building permits pulled for your type of home in your micro market, about the most that you're going to get is about 2.5 of those sales, 25%. So I've asked owners and managers to take a look at MLS data and permit data, and they maybe have already talked to you about it, about finding out what is your market share right now in your particular micro market. And do you have room to take more market share? If you don't, we've got to expand either the product type or we've got to expand geographic locations that you're building in. But if there is opportunities to expand, now we're planning to grow. Or maybe you're planning on you just want to keep what you've grown into this year. So what are those major challenges and solutions? Again, don't spend a whole lot of time here, but just, you know, look at some of the things that maybe you potentially are on the radar that could happen, and just jot down a sentence or two of how you can deal with it. All right, that is part 7, or the last part of the plan here. I'm going to open it up now for any questions or clarifications as it relates to what we just discussed here. So anybody have any questions or clarifications on any part of the seven parts of this plan? And you can feel free to type them in too if you have questions. Okay, well, what I'm going to want to go through next is our schedule here for the next month. So we're here right now on 11/14 looking at your personal business plan. What you should write down, your goal should be to have all of this completed by December 12th. So that should, write that down, is to have your plan completed by December 12th. You've got a month to do it. There's 7 sections to get that done. So we're going to come back with a roundtable forum. Everyone will be invited to that as well. I'll be happy to provide any clarification on any parts of the plan. And again, once again, you'll be able to submit any question you have on anything as far as it relates to marketing, advertising, or sales. So we'll have no meeting here in 2 weeks because that's Thanksgiving, and we will have no second meeting in December because of it will be between Christmas and New Year's. So only one meeting here each month here for premium clients, and then we'll still continue to do our roundtable. So Mike, you typed in a note here to me. Did you have any questions on anything? Yep, I will be sending out a link. Mike asked, can you get a copy of what we discussed today? I'm going to be sending out a link to access all this in Game Day Coaching. You need to make sure you have your username and password set up for Game Day Coaching. You can get it from your owners and managers if you don't have it, and then I'll send out this recording as a copy to go with it. But keep in mind, I have where this goes. This is everything we looked at. I've got a 5-minute video that is a Cliff Notes version of what I just went through. And once you get everything, I suggest you fill it out in an Excel spreadsheet to start with, and then print it out and have a hard copy that you can keep in front of you, at your desk, in your folder, in your car, whatever it is. Anything else from anybody today? Questions on business plan, or I'll open it up to anything at all. All right, guys, thanks so much for attending. I'll send the follow-up of this out to the owners and managers, and then we'll see you back in 1 month on December 12th. Have your plans completed. Feel free to, if you have questions on that, feel free to get back to your owners and managers on that, and we can answer questions at scorecard reviews or via email on this. But hopefully you've got the resources you need here in Game Day Coaching. And have a great rest of your afternoon. Bye-bye.